I don't even know where to start this video. I'm just gonna start. Someone asked me to talk about kids that are anxious. Just like anxious in the classroom, they're nervous about stuff, and like don't know how to handle themselves in the hallway and stuff. These cops are really distracting me too. I haven't been able to record in a while because we have after school program, which we typically don't have this time of year after school, and then there was another after school program in my classroom the other day when I tried to record, and then we had Thanksgiving last week. And so here we are, a few days in, and then there's police activity outside the school today, which is holding up my whole game out here. So did you guys see my badge I was outside with? I had a police badge from the dollar store, and I put it in I connected it to my wallet, and I was just holding it up like this, and it was hilarious. Dude, it was so funny. I looked like 21 Jump Street. I got two things. One, I'm going to talk about kind of what's going on in class because I think it was interesting. And two, I want to talk about anxious kids because someone in the comment section asked about that and I told them I'd make a video. So here that is. This week there was a lot of notes being taken, right? So we're just starting Merchant of Venice, and the way that I started that this year, we give notes on the background of all of these authors all the time. I feel like when I was in high school, teachers didn't do a really good job of tying in why we were learning something. Like, why does it matter where Shakespeare grew up, whether or not he went to school, who he was married to, where he lived, kind of people he hung out with. And, so the way I broke that down this year was we started by talking about Curtis Blow. And Curtis Blow had this song out in the 70s called These Are the Breaks. These are the breaks. Like that. Cephas is over here watching. We watched a clip from that. Then we watched a clip from Sugar Hill Gang. Then we watched a clip from Run DMC and watched the video Tricky. And then we watched NWA Straight Outta Compton. The reason we talked about that was to say that like Sugar Hill Gang and Curtis Blow sort of looked a certain way and they rocked hip hop wearing sweaters like mine.
Wait,
and then
you should play Hamilton next. Because they have hip hop in it.
I'm not going to play Hamilton.
You should.
I'm going to go back to my video now.
You should. Oh my God, it's so good.
The reason we talked about that was because then it went from that kind of hip hop, that kind of look, into Run DMC and into NWA. And then after that, all of these hip hop artists started fronting about where they came from and what their past looked like. Because Run DMC and NWA were 100% authentic street. And they even looked it. Like they had the gear that looked like all the kids from Compton or from New York where they were coming from. That set this precedent where other hip hop artists started pretending like they were from somewhere else. Like when Vanilla Ice pretended like he grew up in the hood, but really grew up in the suburbs of Florida somewhere. Or Drake, who acts like he's from the street all the time, even though we know he was the kid in the wheelchair from Degrassi. Degrassi.
I'm just saying, if Drake comes at you, yo.
Drake might be watching this.
Sensational. I'm just saying, a Drake and Reynolds beef.
I'm just saying, I got it. I got it on lock. Where we come from and who we were growing up directly impacts the type of art that we create later on. And so that's why we talk about who Shakespeare was before we read Shakespeare, because it's good to know that backstory. Like growing up in punk rock, like it mattered where someone came from. It mattered what their story was. Growing up in hip hop, it was the same thing. And so that's why we broke that down and we explained that to the students. And then we took notes on who Shakespeare was, kind of where he came from, what London looked like at that time, what going to a play looked like at that time, to get more of a full sense of like what we're reading and things like why does Shakespeare quote the Bible all the time? Why does he use Greek mythology references all the time? Because that was the illusion that took place in his time. Then I think this is one of my favorite things to kind of talk about. Then we talk about 5 major literary references in the story, right? Or literary terms in the story. And then we watch TV shows or movie clips that go along with those. So for a side, we talk about Saved by the Bell, and I show a clip from Saved by the Bell, which I can't show here, unfortunately, because they demonetized me. Like when I showed that Jocko Willing clip from his podcast last week, I got demonetized for that. Oh, you think that's funny? That's your Christmas money, Cephas.
Hey, I'm just saying.
I can't donate to the Cephas Fund.
I'm just saying, I'm still getting my Xbox 360s. I don't care.
All right. Wait, Xbox 360?
I'm wondering against that, yeah.
God. Then for soliloquy, we talk about the Bernie Mac show and how Bernie Mac's always sitting in that chair and talking to you, America, and then breaks into his little speech. Comic relief is the next one, and I showed either clips from Deadpool or from Ant-Man, because there's always these moments where it's super serious, something hilarious happens, and it breaks sort of the moment and makes it hilarious again. Like, it breaks the tension in the moment.
Wait. Do you know another
Cephas,
show
are you forever
on Crowley show you can do that for? Hamilton.
Why do you keep talking about Hamilton?
Because Hamilton's amazing.
This is the second time you've referenced a theatrical production today.
Yeah, I love Hamilton. It's so good.
Can you tell them what the other theatrical production was?
Oh, Les Mis. Rent is garbage, first and foremost, but Les Mis is a classic.
That sound like
Oh,
some
look.
lame Miz.
Santa Claus showed up.
Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas, kids.
Is that a velvet do-rag?
Yeah,
It's a Christmas velvet do-rag. You're like the Santa Claus.
I'm gonna make my own.
You're gonna make your own do-rag? Of what? Sheepskin?
Turtle shells.
Some of the kids call it cheesesteak turtle. I don't subscribe to that though.
What should you do? Put like Franklin next to him.
This is nice. Why are you
laugh,
laughing
though.
like that?
Because I'm
It's
so
embarrassed.
sure.
Could you guys act tougher? We're on the internet.
Pretty tough. I got a do-rag on me.
Cops outside right now? Come on. If you've not watched our show on Instagram, by the way, we make Instagram stories just about every day called Big Guy's Little Car. And it's about giving these guys a ride home and how they fill up my little car.
Can we talk about some more Broadway shows?
No, we're not talking about Broadway shows.
All
We're
right.
talking about...
So, I'm gonna let y'all know now. Heathers, that's a banger too. What else is a good one? Dear Evan Hansen, that's a good one too. Also, Wicked, that's a classic as well. Annie Got Your Gun, that's a classic one too.
Alright, nice.
What's happening?
Bruh, nah, this goes about Broadway shows. All right, I'm done.
When you get cut from the YouTube video, I'll see you later.
We just watch Boys in the Hood on repeat all the time.
It's
Yeah.
so hard.
It's not from that movie.
Yeah, that's all Boys to
Singing
Men.
Boyz II Men.
Man.
Again, I start these with a semblance of what's going to happen,
Yeah.
and then
You got random.
it just gets weird. So, all right, let me finish this up. Are you just going to stand there? All right. So then we talk about foreshadowing. We watch, there's a number of clips from Disney movies that talk about foreshadowing. And then the last one is Illusion with an A, not an I. And we talk about Family Guy.
Hamilton.
Because Family Guy uses illusion all the time. You took my class twice. You know about this.
Failure. You good, Chief? You need some milk?
Are you making yourself cry? Let's talk about teasing kids real quick. Because somebody got mad at me for teasing students one time in school. Like, I made fun of a kid and somebody got really upset with me. But
Soft.
I was just actually talking to the vice principal today about this, and he was saying that he actually complimented me and said there's only 2 teachers in the school, me and King, that can really effectively make fun of kids and do it with love, and then the kids don't hate you afterwards. And I just think that is like not something that all teachers should do. Like, if you don't think you can do that, you shouldn't do that. I love doing that, but I always
So I didn't mean to cut you off, but the thing with that, it builds a relationship with the
Yeah.
teacher. Cause if they make fun of you, be like, then you try to say something bad, but you know you can't. But you just like it just end up building like a more like you appreciate them more.
Yeah.
Cause they're not gonna like they're not gonna like try to business.
Yeah, they're gonna be real with you 24/7. That's the one thing that I know for a
Can you
fact.
be on camera and say that?
First of
Come on,
all,
look.
this is big guy little camera. Like
It is. It's big guy, little guy. So what were you saying?
It looks like Modern Family. If Cam, and like the
no,
big
2.5 men. It's like 2.5 men.
Wow, this is going everywhere. What were you saying?
I'm just saying, like, it builds a relationship, like you said, but also, like, you're always gonna keep it 100 with us. If you like tease us, like, all right, we got to look back and forth relationship. I remember a teacher who used to teach here, Carlisle. He used to bid heavy. Like,
Yep.
he would call me kaiju. I'll call him bald man. It would just be like a constant riff. It was like not from a place to hate. And I remember like every time I had trouble with the class, like, yo, what are you doing? He would like always keep it real with me and try to like set my grades up and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So
So that's making me think. So I was telling my wife about your glasses. So Cheesesteak's glasses broke, and they're like tilted. And so can you wear them? So Cheesesteak's glasses broke, and I was making fun of him for it. And my wife got upset at me because sometimes she tells me I need to like take it down a notch. But what people don't always see is that like when we're doing that, when we can laugh at one another, I think that is the best thing. I think it's also showing kids like how to make fun of one another and how to bounce back and how it doesn't have to be so serious all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, they're even worse.
God, yo,
Show them how they tilt. So Cheesesteak's glasses broke, but then you gotta understand side profile because look how they tilt out, and they look like a windshield on a car.
Wait, no, give it there,
you know.
Anyway, I think the value in all of this is that you're building relationships with students. And so if you do have someone that's anxious in class, what would make someone feel better than self-confidence and knowing someone else has their back, right? And the way I think you build self-confidence in students is by showing them how to tease one another sometimes, by building relationships with students, by caring, by hanging out a little bit longer, by talking to them in the hallway. That all builds their confidence, makes them feel more comfortable about being in school, and then that translates over into the classroom and into like helping them realize that they're actually worth something. And are you taking pictures with this thing now? Because it's the good light. All right. Yeah. So that's how I would always deal with anxious students: is just create a safe space where they can be. Like when we are all eating lunch in here, or we're all hanging in here after school, it's like a safe place for kids to be, and to know that sometimes people are making fun of you, but it's always out of love. It is always from a place of love. All right, let's end this insane video here. Are you going to take pictures now? They like taking pictures for Instagram with the light ring.
I don't have Instagram.
Till tomorrow, everyone. Peace.
I am cross-eyed, low-key.